ఒక్కొక్క లబ్ధిదారునికి ఏటామానాన్ని సరిచేస్తూ ఉన్న స్థితి నుంచి ఉన్నత స్థితికి బాటలు వేస్తూ చిరుజీవులు మేరునగ ధీరులై తలెత్తుకు నిలబడేలా వారి వడ్డీ భారాన్ని ప్రభుత్వమే భరిస్తూ 10,000 రూపాయల ఆర్థిక సాయం. ఆ రుణం తీర్చేశాక తిరిగి అప్పు తీసుకునే వెసులుబాటు కల్పించి బ్యాంకులను ఒప్పించి గ్రామ వార్డు సచివాలయ వ్యవస్థ ద్వారా పూర్తి సహాయ సహకారాలను ఇస్తూ ఇప్పటి వరకు జగనన్న ప్రభుత్వం లక్షలాది మంది లబ్ధిదారులకు చేసిన ఆర్థిక సాయం గతంలో మరే ప్రభుత్వము చెయ్యని మహత్కార్యం. గతంలో అధిక వడ్డీలకు ఫైనాన్స్ కంపెనీలు వ్యక్తుల దగ్గర అప్పులు తీసుకునే చిరు వ్యాపారులకు జగనన్న ప్రభుత్వం వచ్చిన తరువాత స్మార్ట్ గుర్తింపు కార్డులను అందించి వ్యవస్థీకృత రుణాలను అందజేసింది. దీనివల్ల వారిపై వడ్డీ భారం తగ్గి బ్యాంకుల రుణాలను సక్రమంగా ఉపయోగించుకుంటున్నారు.
వడ్డీ లేకుండా ఈ చిరు వ్యాపారాలకు అందరికీ కూడా మనం 10,000 రూపాయలు మనం సొమ్ముగా ఇవ్వగలిగితే వాళ్ళకి ఎంతో మంచి జరుగుతుంది అని చెప్పి బ్యాంకర్స్ అందరినీ కూడా కన్విన్స్ చేసి వడ్డీ లేని రుణాలు ఈ మాదిరిగా అందించడం జరిగింది.
ఇలాంటి లబ్ధిదారులు బ్యాంకులకు కట్టిన వడ్డీ మొత్తాన్ని ప్రతి 6 నెలలకు ఒకసారి నేరుగా వారి బ్యాంకు ఖాతాల్లో ప్రభుత్వమే జమ చేస్తోంది. ఒక్కొక్కరికి 10,000 రూపాయల చొప్పున 5,10,462 మంది చిరు వ్యాపారులకు 510.46 కోట్ల వడ్డీ లేని రుణాలు. గత 6 నెలల కాలానికి లబ్ధిదారులు బ్యాంకులకు చెల్లించిన వడ్డీ 16.16 కోట్ల వడ్డీ రియంబర్స్మెంట్ కలిపి మొత్తం 526.62 కోట్లను గౌరవ ముఖ్యమంత్రి శ్రీ వైఎస్ జగన్మోహన్ రెడ్డి గారు నేడు బటన్ నొక్కి నేరుగా లబ్ధిదారుల ఖాతాల్లో జమ చేస్తారు. ఇప్పటి వరకు 14,16,091 మంది లబ్ధిదారులకు జగనన్న ప్రభుత్వం 1,416 కోట్లు వడ్డీ లేని రుణాలు అందించగా లబ్ధిదారులు బ్యాంకులకు చెల్లించిన వడ్డీ తిరిగి లబ్ధిదారులకు చెల్లించింది 32.51 కోట్లు. సీఎం వైఎస్ జగన్ అమలు చేస్తున్న ఈ పథకం చిరు వ్యాపారాలను చేసింది లాభాలమయం.
నిజమై కరుణే వరవై మరణే లగవచ్చిందంట.
Now I request Honorable Minister Shri Bose Satyanarayana Garu to give this message.
గౌరవ ముఖ్యమంత్రి జగన్మోహన్ రెడ్డి గారికి, అలాగే నా శాసన మంత్రులు పెద్దిరెడ్డి రామచంద్రారెడ్డి గారికి, ఇంకా వివిధ జిల్లాల నుంచి మరి దీంట్లో పాల్గొంటున్న మంత్రులకి, గౌరవ శాసనసభ్యులు, ప్రజాప్రతినిధులందరికీ, అలాగే అధికారులందరికీ నా హృదయపూర్వక నమస్కారాలు. సార్, ఇవాళ 3వ విడత జగనన్న తోడు కార్యక్రమాన్ని ఇవాళ మరి మీ చేతుల మీదుగా ప్రారంభిస్తాం సార్. మీరు పాదయాత్రలో ఏదైతే చూసి ప్రజల తాలూకా వారి విన్నపాలని, కష్టాలని చూసి ఆ రకంగా ఆలోచన చేసి ప్రభుత్వం వచ్చిన తర్వాత దీన్ని మనం చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది అని ఒక ఆలోచనని మీరు ఆలోచన చేసి ఈ కార్యక్రమం రూపొందించేస్తారు. ఆ ప్రకారం మీరు ఇచ్చిన ఆదేశాలకు అనుగుణంగా అటు రూరల్లోనూ, గ్రామీణ ప్రాంతంలోనూ, అలాగే పట్టణ ప్రాంతాల్లోనూ ఎవరైతే చిరు వ్యాపారులు ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళందరికీ కూడా మరి ఐడెంటిఫై చేసి 10,000 రూపాయలని ఏదైతే చక్కెర వడ్డీలు కట్టుకుని 10 రూపాయలు, 20 రూపాయల వడ్డీలు కట్టుకొని రోజు దాని వచ్చే ఆదాయంతో వడ్డీలకి ఎత్తిపోయి ఆ కుటుంబాలు చిన్నారిపోతున్న వాళ్ళందరికీ కూడా మరి వారి కుటుంబాల్లో ఒక ఆనందాన్ని వెలిగించడానికి మీరు తీసుకునే నిర్ణయం చాలా సాంప్రదాయ నిర్ణయం సార్. దాని ప్రకారం ఇప్పుడే మీకు చూమంటారు. సుమారు ఇవాళతో కలుపుకుంటే 14,16,000 మంది మొత్తం లబ్ధి చేకూరిందండి. ఈ ఒక్కరోజు 5,10,000 మందికి దీనివల్ల లబ్ధి చేకూరుతుంది. 10,000 రూపాయల రుణంతో పాటు ఏదైతే వడ్డీ బకాయి లేకుండా, అంటే వడ్డీ బకాయి లేకుండా ఇస్తున్నాం కాబట్టి బ్యాంకులన్నీ కూడా ముందుకు వస్తున్నాయి. ఏ ఒక్కరు కూడా ఎన్పిఎల్ అవ్వకుండా ఉండాలనేది ప్రభుత్వం కూడా అధికారులకు అందరూ కూడా అటు గ్రామీణ ప్రాంతంలో ఉన్న సర్ప్ కానీ లేకపోతే ఇటు మెప్మా కానీ ఇద్దరు కూడా వాళ్ళని మోటివేట్ చేస్తూ ఏ ఒక్కరికి కూడా బ్యాంకుల్లో మరి వాళ్ళు ఎన్పిఏ లేకుండా వాళ్ళు కట్టవలసిన ఏ వాయిదాలు ఏమి ఉన్నాయో అవన్నీ కట్టే ప్రయత్నాలు చేస్తాం సార్. అక్కడ ఎక్కడ కొంత వెసులుబాటు ఉంది, వాళ్ళకు కూడా కట్టడం పూర్తిగా మీ తాలూకు వడ్డీని రుణమాఫీ చేస్తారనేది వాళ్ళు మోటివేషన్ చేసుకొస్తున్నాం సార్. వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా ఇప్పుడు చిరు వ్యాపారులు ఇంతకు ముందు రాలే ఇబ్బంది పడకుండా అందరూ కూడా హాయిగా వాళ్ళు వచ్చి వాళ్ళ వ్యాపారాలు చేసుకుంటూ వచ్చిన ఆదాయాన్ని వాళ్ళ కుటుంబ పోషణ కోసం వాళ్ళు చేస్తున్న నేపథ్యం ఆంధ్ర రాష్ట్రంలో జరుగుతుంది సార్. దీన్ని స్ఫూర్తిగా తీసుకుని మిగతా రాష్ట్రాలు కూడా ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని కానీ దీంతో పాటు కేంద్రం కూడా దీన్ని ఇదే స్ఫూర్తి తీసుకుని వాళ్ళు కూడా దీన్ని ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేయాలని చెప్పి ఒక అర్బన్ ప్రాంతాల్లోనే వాళ్ళు చేసి పట్టణ ప్రాంతాలు తీసుకున్నారు సార్. మనం మాత్రం మా పూర్తిగా అటు గ్రామీణ పట్టణ ప్రాంతాల్లో మనం తీసుకుంటున్నాం సార్. అంటే ఇది మళ్ళీ మమ్మల్ని చూసి కాపీ కొట్టారు చేశారు అని వాళ్ళు మళ్ళీ ఆ ఉద్దేశం కాదు సార్ నాది. ఎందుకంటే మనం తీసుకున్న ఏ చర్య సరే ఏ నిర్ణయం సరే సంక్షేమాన్ని తీసుకుంది దేశంలో ఉన్న ఇతర రాష్ట్రాలు కానీ కేంద్రంలో ఉన్న కేంద్ర యూనియన్ ప్రభుత్వం కానీ ఇవాళ అది తీసుకుంటున్న
Can we please settle down? Even people at the back, please. Please maybe settle down. So with your permission, we will start. Thank you. Honorable Government of Telangana, my good friend Deepak Bagla, Managing Director and CEO in Invest India, who is joining us virtually. Mr. C.K. Ranganathan, Chairman, CIS Southern Region and Chairman and Managing Director, Kevin Care Private Limited, who is also joining us virtually. Dr. Krishna Ila, Chairman and Managing Director, Bharat Biotech International Limited. My good friend Vagesh Dikshit, Vice Chairman, CI Telangana and Managing Director, Alpha India Private Limited. Dignitaries and officials of the government, captains of the industry, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It is my privilege to welcome you all to the annual meeting of CI Telangana and the TI Telangana Leadership Summit with the theme India at 75, Catalyzing Change for a New India. During the beginning of the year, we set out with the objectives of working closely with the government, industry and institutions to encourage sustainable and inclusive growth in the state and enhancing the competitiveness of the industry. But as you all know, the entire world and the nation had to go through the second wave of this black swan event, COVID. All the planning and strategies were changed suddenly, and safety and health became the top priority of any individual. We had to go through many challenges with respect to healthcare infrastructure such as oxygen supply, shortage of manpower, drugs, and hospital beds. Fortunately, the impact of the second and third wave on the real economy and the industry was limited in comparison to the first wave. Thanks to the vaccination, learning from the first wave, and measures taken by the government, I must especially appreciate the government of Telangana for their proactive leadership, sir, because of which industry has fared well and functioned well in the state during the COVID, in comparison to several other states, including the other southern states. A big round of applause for them. The leadership of the state government is quite visionary and has driven one of the youngest state of the country to be more progressive and dynamic in the state in the country. With their vision, they have made Telangana a model state for industry in the country and brought significant investments, providing the right ecosystems for industries to flourish. As we all know that COVID-19 pandemic is a crisis that has shaken up the entire world economy. Every once in a while, we are faced with this event that gets entrenched in history and changes the course of the future generations. It forces business leaders to rethink and reevaluate the overall approach on how to face a crisis. But the businesses by nature are problem solvers, and it is said that every crisis there is an opportunity. Today, many leaders have redefined the organization goal and objectives, reimagined their business model. It is interesting to note that many have prioritized health and safety of employees, mobilization of their workforce, fostering engagement, and building a remote and sustainable business continuity plan. Leadership is not just about managing business, but also being compassionate and giving a helping hand to the needy. Helping society is one of the prime agenda of CIA. Hence, during the pandemic, CIA has successfully engaged with the government and worked with members, NGOs, health workers, and some of the key stakeholders in helping the needy. Engaging and nurturing the future leaders is one of the main focus of CIA. Through various initiatives, CIA has been able to focus on developing the competitiveness of the industry in the state and encourage the leaders of industry in their journey, cutting across in several industrial sectors. The Leadership Summit is focusing on catalyzing change for the new India at the juncture of India at its 75th year of independence. There are multiple sessions which are going to be discussed on the role of leadership. Once among them is the leadership in rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled world and driving growth through competitiveness and sustainability. Senior leaders from industry from various sectors would deliberate on their journey and share their learnings in terms of leading from the front in a volatile condition and drive the organization with competitiveness and sustainability. Another interesting session is on taking the legacy forward and empowering the next generation in family business. The younger leaders need to learn a lot from the leaders who have left a legacy, and it will be an interesting session for many young leaders. There will be a round table of Consulate General on connecting Telangana to the globe, Consul General from US, British Deputy High Commissioner, France and Indonesia will be deliberating on the possible collaboration and engagement between the industry and the respective nations. There are several thought leaders who are sharing their experience. I hope there will be a lot of learning during the day. Before I conclude, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that CI Telangana is committed to be a partner in the growth story of Bangaru, Telangana, and we are willing to extend our full cooperation in the process of accelerating growth through competitiveness and entrepreneurship, sustainability, and inclusiveness, and catalyzing change on the new India. With these few words, I welcome you all to the public session of CI annual meeting and the leadership summit. I wish this program a grand success. Thank you very much. May I now invite Dr. Krishna Ila to deliver the special address. Of course, everyone knows Dr. Krishna Ila. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, all of you. I think Honorable Minister and our Jayesh Ranjan and all the members here, Jayesh, good luck to you. I'm not prepared any speech, just relax all of you. I'm not going to give you have a great opportunity and all that. So I'm not prepared. I always talk from my heart. So I don't prepare anything in my speeches. So I'm 67, so I don't want to live for somebody. I live for my heart, what believes in it. Okay, that's important. I'll tell you, innovations happens on two things. One, startups. The second happens, not a big company cannot innovate anywhere in the world. It is shown Pfizer cannot innovate. No other company, GSK cannot innovate, Sanofi cannot innovate. Only some other innovation can be commercialized by big one. But no big companies will never innovate. The same way, you look at young state is always a dynamic, are not carrying forward a lot of legacy of the bigger problem in the state. And I think one thing, the leadership in Telangana has facilitated. Many people will praise our KTR and all that, for getting good with him. But I can tell you one thing, honest statement. This one state never interfered in the industry's growth, never interfered in any problem. I think the most important, what we should look at it, we don't get help also, doesn't matter. But as an entrepreneur, if they don't interfere, that's the greatest gift can be given by government, honestly. That's my humble statement. Because, I can praise our minister, but that is not the truth. But our truth is to believe in what we believe in it. And it's true, every entrepreneur here not been humiliated, tortured, or bogged by anybody. But I will tell you another third point. And I think the third point, innovations will come from Telangana. It's not that because our minister is here, I am praising this. No. Please give him the reference. I'll give you 3-4 examples of Bharat Biotech innovation as a startup. I was a startup in '97. I was not a big company. I was a startup from agrarian family. And at the same time, what Telangana government is encouraging the startup, what will happen next 5 years? I'll give a few examples of ours. And the first new molecule from the world, typhoid conjugate vaccine, came from Bharat Biotech and that from Telangana. Okay? And after the separation of the state, the first new molecule came from Telangana, typhoid conjugate, first time in the world. And that has completed a human challenge in Oxford and effectiveness studies in 6-7 countries all over the world. And that speaks that the innovation can happen from India. Many people will not believe that because no Indian company copies. That's what the perception always we have in our mind. Please change that mind. It is happening differently now today in the world. And I'm telling you, chikungunya, we are now funded by CEPI, which is the phase 3 trial in Thailand, Colombia, and Malaysia, and the Philippines, and India. And funded by CEPI, and that will be the first vaccine in the world, again from Telangana. And third, Zika vaccine, first global patent in the world. Why I'm saying this one? We are the only company as a startup believed in the neglected disease will turn into pandemic in the future. And we've been working right from the inception of the company that any day neglected disease will be a pandemic and we need to be prepared. So coming to my conclusion of the speech is very simple. And I think Telangana is well prepared to handle any pandemic in the future much better. We are also developing, a lot of other Indian companies are developing a lot of platform technologies. I predict that next pandemic, if it comes, it will be in the animal side on food security issues, if at all happens. If it happens, we don't want that, but if it happens, the likelihood is probably the food security will be another limiting factor which we should look at it. And I think as a manufacturers, as a state, I think we are well prepared than anybody else. I think you look at containment facility, biosecurity, containment, BSL-3 facility, only first one in the world is right in Telangana, right in Shamirpet, right in Genome Valley. That speaks that we are the first facility in the world. We are even better than Wuhan lab is only a lab. It is not production facility. So the first production facility is right in Telangana. I think we are geared up as a country, as a state. And as a state, and I'm telling honestly, I'm proud to say that in front of all the people here, government never interfered. They were there all the time. Even when I had some problem with the TSIC on some assigned land, they said, we will come and help you. We will help you. They came directly to us, I'm telling honestly. I'm actually, company people are lethargic people. I've seen one thing I'm telling you. Company people are lethargic today. Company people become complacent. And employees also become complacent. Yeah, if you push the game, I'll leave this job and go to Aurobindo. And Aurobindo will push him, you go to Reddy Lab. So you people have taken a strategy, but government is not like that. Government is sincerely committed to things, but I think as industry, we are still not serious a lot of things. And I think we need to get serious on issues, what is required, what happens in our organizations, what happens to our human resources, and what goes wrong with our human resources, our inefficiency, should be looked at very seriously instead of looking at the government inefficiency. And that is very important. And I think startup is an amazing strategy by the government has done. And I think we'll beat any state in the world probably in the next 2-3 years. And number one. Number three, I think people say should focus on agriculture and food processing industry. Very important because we predict India is the only country can feed the world. And I think in that game, agrarian requires help. And I think we all want to be comfort zone in the 5-star hotel in Kagatiya and all that. That is what we are looking at it. And I think we need to look at everybody has got a CSR responsibility to help an agrarian community. This is only time in the pandemic, only agriculture has never grown down. It has grown up. And I think the Indian farmers have done a tremendous job to the country's progress. And I think we are grateful to all the Indian farmers of this country. What we can add value to the producers? How can we add from Nizamabad turmeric? How can we add value to that? And how can we export 20-30% of the turmeric to other part of the world so that the market price of turmeric can go up in Nizamabad? And I think we are all entrepreneurs, genius people, and I think you need to look at strategically and put small. If you can't do the business, you put your money into some startup who can do the job. It's not that you have to be selfishly do everything yourself. You can do with some other partnership. I think look at it, partnership is the only game to succeed, and I wish you luck. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity.
So thank you, Dr. Krishna Ila Garu, for your kind this thing. Having worked with GSK and working with CIPLA, I can fully appreciate what you have said. And we will continue to work on agriculture, you being agriculturist yourself. So may I now invite Mr. C.K. Ranganathan to deliver the special address. Over to you, C.K. Yeah, please. Excuse me. CK, you are on mute.
Thank you, Samir. Honorable Minister Shri K.T. Ramarao, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IAS, Principal Secretary, Government of Telangana, Mr. Deepak Bagla, Samir and Rajesh. Thanks for the opportunity. We are today living in a very complex and a competitive business world. The business, if you have to look at knowledge, strategy, and execution part, it is what we are living in. Whether the company in a competitive environment, who is more knowledgeable, how do you harness the knowledge to convert into brilliant strategies? It is not just strategies alone, but how do we execute those strategies? Are we able to execute it flawlessly is a very, very important thing. So if we are masters in continuously harnessing the knowledge of the company, it is not accidentally sending somebody to some seminars and so on, but a very well planned knowledge, this thing, if we can enhance the knowledge of our own team members and also create a culture where free flow of strategies, free flow of ideas are able to come and able to execute it, I think we are game. And when it comes to the kind of this thing in terms of CEO's role, very leadership, very important thing. Creating a culture that is how do you make the desirable cultures which will be responsible for the company's success, not only in India but globally. That's a very, very important thing. And leadership always, I think, is a very, very important role. Is this COVID times? It has created a lot of challenges for us. I think we have emerged far more successfully. We are at the fag end of the pandemic period. This time I would like to say that leadership is responsible for developing active foresight. How industry will evolve, how competition will evolve. I think that's a very, very important role. And if you don't simulate that, and we will be caught by surprises. And that's a very, very active role leadership needs to play. And also an important role, very successful organization across the world. The middle and junior management run the day-to-day, and top management, the leadership players, are mostly looking at only spend about 25 to 30% of their time in running day-to-day or enhancing, facilitating or solving problems of the day-to-day to achieve these short-term goals. And they are actively, most of the time, 70% of the time is spent in inventing the future. How do you invent the future? It is how you kind of this thing is able to prepare and invest time in creating a future, a clear plan, coming out with brilliant ideas. These are areas in terms of leadership need to focus. And while I was talking about culture, adaptability is a very, very important thing. How do we adapt in a very evolving, a very dynamic world? The challenges are many. I can say the way the digital challenges now, if you don't embrace the digital technologies, you will be extinct. And that's very, very important. But many companies are thinking that, okay, slowly it will happen. But the competition is going to eat you away just like that. What was thought a digital technologies used to be an enabler, it's now a very core of a competitive edge. And that, I think it's important that the leadership focuses on that. Being agile and nimble is a very important ask. And that is also, I think, would go a long, long way. I think we as leadership at the helm of affairs can constantly look forward to being very, very competitive and take India to the next level. I think we are very capable and we can do things. Last but not the least, I would like to also join Dr. Krishna in complimenting Telangana government. Our minister, honorable minister, we would like to say, because we are seeing across southern states and across India, Telangana is the one where least disturbances, lockdowns and other things, less restrictions, and most of the day, most productive days have come from Telangana government, and the industry is extremely happy. And thank you very much for that, Minister. Thanks a lot. So I conclude my speech. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Seekan, for your address and taking us through several aspects of leadership in this VUCA world. You absolutely said it right. Organization have to change, and digitalization, sustainability, and being agile and nimble is the forefront. And you, as a leader for the industry, has shown the path to us. I will now request my good friend, Mr. Deepak Bagla, who joined us virtually to deliver his address. Deepak, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Morning, Mr. Minister. As you know, it's no longer a surprise that you have admirers and fans, not just in Invest India, but I guess across the entire global investing community. And I must really, completely, you really make us proud. And the man sitting on your right is an absolute, Jayesh is right there, he's a Pied Piper. Mr. Minister, whenever we have an investor and we send him a message at any point of time, you know, the kind of response we get, it is right there and immediate. And that sort of explains the leadership, the culture which you've set, and more importantly, the points of success which we are seeing already from one of the youngest states in the country. I must thank Mr. Ranganathan. I think the leadership point you picked up, Mr. Ranganathan, very critical. And we are seeing that. The leadership which we are seeing in the state is the cause of the success, and I'll speak a little about that. And Dr. Ella, thank you very much for the points you rose about innovation, about the global position of India, and especially so in the midst of this unprecedented lockdown. But I must say one thing. I actually believe that the role of the government can be that of a very strong enabler. It's not that the government doesn't have a role where it comes to industrial growth. And that's where you've seen the example of what is happening in your state. The leadership, the success points which has happened. More importantly, even if you look at it, I think today the case study of startups is now being looked as a case study across business schools in the world on how efficient, impactful policy making together with stakeholders can actually create magic. And Mr. Minister, I must tell you, the person sitting on your left, Mr. Goel, Samir, ever since college we knew he would be the one who would make us all proud, and he continues doing that. So congratulations, Samir, and thank you for the excellent work which you are doing for all of us, and more importantly, for getting us all together. And Mr. Dixit, we look forward to hearing from you. But sir, now on some of the comments which I have. I know we've been through the worst of times, but there are also some of the best of times we can look forward to from here. It was brutal the past 24 months. But I think the time has come now to look forward. And now from the Invest India perspective, let me just share some thoughts. And especially on Telangana, because this is a place and a state and the leadership we look forward to as we are moving towards a $10 trillion economy by 2030. The GDP of Telangana today, sir, is about $170 billion. That means if I rank it globally, it's anywhere between 55 and 60 in the world, ahead of Kuwait, I must say. Just catching up on Qatar, Hungary, and if I may just add and make it topical, just a little behind Ukraine as we speak. But I think this is a juggernaut which is now ready to propel and take forward its stake in a much larger way. In the Indian context, number 6, you are behind Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Karnataka. I must tell you, West Bengal is catching up very fast with you. But I'll tell you what is in the strength of Telangana as it stands. look at the growth rate of Telangana, and if I look at it for the past 5 years, 2016 over 14%, 17 13.9, 18 again 13.9, 19 again ahead of 14%, 14.7%, 20 11.3% even in the midst of that lockdown. What am I trying to get at? If I look at even an average of what you've done over the past 5 years, and let's look at a little over 13%, we are looking at a GDP of close to $300 billion by 2030. That means Telangana will be adding, it's 450 odd billion by 2030. That means they'll be adding about $300 billion to the bottom lines and the balance sheets of all those who would be joining Telangana in this journey. And that's where I talk about the leadership which has been created there. Look at the ease of doing business rankings. A remarkable jump. One of the few states which has jumped from number 13 to number 3. And that explains the focus of the leadership to make that investor journey easier. In fact, and this is where I often tell Jayesh, and I compliment you, Mr. Minister, and your entire team, you have one of the most effective single windows in the country. When we were trying to create the national single window, which you know we launched just a couple of months ago, and CII has been helping us immensely in trying to get it going, we had some of our learnings from your single window. And hopefully, if very soon we can bring the national single window to the same level of efficiency as you have with you, and pick up some of those points, I think India will be a completely new destination where the global investor community is going to be looking at it. So I really have to compliment the kind of efforts and initiatives which have already happened in Telangana. And we are seeing the results. I mean, be it auto companies, be it chemical companies, across the entire spectrum. Let me just give you a quick example. 30th March 2021, even in the midst of the most unprecedented lockdown in human history, we closed with an FDI of over $80 billion, the highest ever FDI we've got in our history. But what's interesting is, our FDI went up by over 10% at a time when global FDI decreased by over 35%. In fact, we were one of the few countries, probably the only one out of the top 2 or 3, which moved its ranking from number 8 to number 5. But more interestingly, and by the way, most of this FDI came in the open route, which sort of explains that we are one of the most open economies on the planet. But Minister, what is very interesting of this time we got our FDI from 89 countries of the world. They trusted you with the future you are bringing into this country. And it came across 63 sectors. We have one of the widest, broadest base of opportunity which is today available in the world. And most interestingly for me, this time it came across 30 states and union territories. It's again getting broad-based. And the story of people who are leading by example and setting best example for other states to come up is Telangana being one of those. And that also explains the startup policy. Mr. Minister, one of the best successes from my perspective of our startup policy is not just the unicorns. You know, 2020 we had a unicorn every 30 days. 2021 we had a unicorn every 10 days. This year we've already had a unicorn every 5 days. But that's not where the story ends. The story is that out of 739 odd districts of India, today over 650 of them have a registered startup with the government of India. The new engine of growth of India, of the new India, is now ready to be bottom up, with a participation from each and every citizen of this country. And for that, we thank the leadership. And Mr. Minister, we thank you for setting best-in-class examples where we all learn from and help others. And here I also must compliment you and your team again. I remember when we were doing the startup policies for India and even the ease of doing business, we had paired states together to help other states which were more aspirational to come up the curve. And you had paired yourself with another set of states, and you've helped those states come up the curve too. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the new India. So Samir, thank you very much for getting me. I take it back to you and I end with these comments. But I really have to thank you and CII for the partnership they have had with us and the support which they continue to provide to take this journey forward. Thank you again and back to you.
Thank you, Deepak. Really pleasure to listen to you and really proud that you could make time. You are at the control room, I know, and you are now ensuring that all our students who are in your train do get back safely, a lot of them from Telangana. So thank you very much, and also thank you to success of Invest India. You've had global applause thanks to your leadership. Thank you once again, Deepak. Really appreciate your time. A big round of applause for him. May I now invite Mr. Jayesh Ranjan to deliver the special address. Over to you, Jayesh.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, Dr. Krishna Ella, Mr. Samir Goel, Mr. Vagish Dikshit, Mr. Jayesh, Mr. Ranganathan, Mr. Bagla, various past chairpersons of CII, senior industry leaders, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time of the year when this annual ritual of leadership change happens in CII. So let me begin by congratulating and complimenting Mr. Goel and his team for their able stewardship during this very difficult times. They have been of enormous help and support to the government. So my personal thanks to you, Samir ji. And at the same time, I would also like to welcome Mr. Vagish Dikshit and his team and look forward to a very exciting partnership in this coming year. This is also the right time for me to mention a few important priorities of the government in which we require deeper commitment and engagement from the CII. Not to suggest that CII has not been forthcoming in these matters, but I would request for much more strong and deeper engagement. The first thing which comes to my mind is, Honorable Minister keeps talking about it, is our young workforce and the people who are on the verge of joining the workforce. Actually, Minister sir has given a nice term for them. He calls them think force. And that is something which we feel very positive and optimistic about, because the size of the young population in Telangana, their aspirations are very, very strong. But we all have a collective responsibility in ensuring that they are properly skilled and trained. And for the last few years, for the last 4 or 5 years, we have been working with, let us say, the universities, the state higher education council, CII itself, of introducing a very strong program of internships and apprenticeships. We have reached somewhere. It is not to say that we have not made any progress at all, but a lot of ground needs to be covered. And since Mr. Dikshit, you are taking over and you have yourself led from the front when it comes to matters of internship, apprenticeships, etc. I would like this culture to be permeated across all members of CII. And during your tenure, I would like CII actually to give some kind of a commitment or take a pledge that every member company will adopt or will accommodate X number of student interns, X number of apprentices from the nearby ITIs, polytechnics, colleges, universities. And now today, we don't even have to confine ourselves only to the state universities. We have very good private universities also. So even that catchment is available today to the industry to accommodate as interns and apprenticeships. And there are, of course, existing laws, rules, etc. We have also done, just before COVID, I remember we had prepared a very detailed, elaborate map of the catchments, like which colleges, which institutions can be tagged to which industries. So once you settle down, I would like to revive this idea and work again with you. Another very important priority which Mr. Bagla spoke about, Dr. Krishna Ella also spoke about, is about promoting entrepreneurship. Many of you would know that CII has chosen the headquarters of its National Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Hyderabad. It is currently operating from T-Hub, of course, because of the situation over the last 2 years. Its activities have slowed down, but I expect now for them to really take off. And Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, who was instrumental in getting that center to Hyderabad. In fact, he was sharing that there was tremendous pressure on him to start that center in Bangalore. Of course, as you know, for very unfair reasons, whenever people think about startup, they automatically think of Bangalore, which, as I personally feel, is extremely unfair. But for various reasons, and since Mr. Gopalakrishna himself comes from Bangalore, there was tremendous pressure on him. But he recognized that the kind of government support, the ecosystem building that the Telangana government has done, no one else has done, not just in the south, but anywhere in the country. And that is something which Mr. Bagla was also mentioning. He was appreciating the fact that way back in 2016, we came up with a very progressive policy on promoting entrepreneurship, promoting innovation. So the whole purpose of, the whole objective of that CII center is to ensure that every member company adopts some startups and basically provide them that corporate connect, which is very important in validating their idea, which is important in scaling up. Maybe some kind of seed funding also can be made available from the corporate. So that is how the center has been set up. Of course, it is a national center. It's just a coincidence that it is headquartered in Hyderabad. But I remember when we were having early discussions with the CII national team, led by Mr. Gopalakrishna, I had assured him, I told him that corporates in Telangana will be in the forefront. Your vision of all CII members across the country working with startups definitely is a very ambitious vision, but we will be the first in Telangana to make it happen. So I would again request that at least all the corporate members, and this is regardless of size. I know that there are many mid-scale companies, small companies also who are members of CII. There are many service companies also who are members of CII. It is regardless of size. Size has no relevance at all when it comes to supporting startups. And it is not that funds are the only way in which you can support. In fact, your leadership can spend time with them, mentor them, give them ideas about how to scale up, how to get connected to market, how to get into a network. So multiple ways in which startups can be supported. And this is again something something which I would request you to really fast track in this coming year. Another very important priority, some of you might have heard Honorable Minister or read about it in the newspapers. Honorable Minister spoke at the Harvard India conference a few days ago, in which he again highlighted how sustainability is a very important part of our economic development. I mean, as the data has been explained by Mr. Bagla, our growth story is phenomenal, but it is not at the cost of sustainability. Every step that we have taken is underlying sustainability. And this is again a third request to CII. Why it's not to say that you haven't been doing it. In fact, we appreciate the kind of support you have given to Harita Haram, and now you are going to give awards also. But there are various other aspects of sustainability. For example, promoting electric mobility, taking care of water bodies. I see Mr. Rajanna here in the audience. In fact, many NASCOM and HYCIA companies have actually gone ahead and adopted water bodies. They have adopted lakes. And today, more than a dozen lakes, particularly in the western part of the city, have been beautified. Their contamination levels have drastically gone down. They have been made very community friendly. But we have not seen too many industries, non-IT companies, taking up these kind of programs. So I would request other CII members also to take up very important sustainability goals that the government has. So apart from the regular support to businesses, to supply chains, to logistics, to MSMEs, which is business as usual for us. We will always be working with CII on all those fronts. But these three important priorities, in my opinion, are foundational. These are fundamental to provide good skills and training to our young workforce, to ensure that entrepreneurs get much more opportunities in Telangana, and to partner with us on all our sustainability agenda. So once again, good wishes to you, Mr. Dikshit, and all the CII members. Let us have a very, very promising and very flourishing year ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jayashree. Let me just put on behalf, you have been the one point contact for the industry, and really a big round of applause for him, and whatever he says, he makes it happen. Thank you very much. May I now invite CI colleague Satya Aruna to take over, please, for the awards.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Minister, Telangana to Harita Haram is one of the excellent initiatives of Government of Telangana, which has paid rich dividends. CI had the privilege of working with the state government. We signed an MOU 6 years back when Mr. Jayesh Ranjan and our chairperson, Ms. Vanitha Datla, signed an MOU. And sir, in the last 6 years, CII members and other stakeholders have planted over 89 lakh saplings in the state. And they have a survival rate of more than 85%, sir. We have very clear evidences, photograph and other details where the saplings you have planted have been growing over a period of time. This year, sir, between August and November 2021, 21 lakhs 46,000 saplings have been planted. And today we would be presenting mementos to 23 organizations who have taken part in this initiative in 2021. We heartily thank all the member companies who have participated in this initiative and request the Honorable Minister to kindly present mementos to these green warriors. May also request Mr. Jayesh Ranjan and other dignitaries on the dais to kindly join the Minister in giving away the mementos. May I request the awardees to kindly come from my right hand side, receive the memento from the Honorable Minister, and go out towards my left hand side, please.
Thank you. So I would be announcing the companies one after the other. You can kindly come and receive the awards. So the first organization to receive the award is ITC Limited Paperboards and Specialty Papers Division. I would request Mr. Sanjay Singh and his team to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Office of NSS JNTUH. I would request ITC team to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready, Office of NSS JNTUH, please. The next team to receive the award is Office of NSS JNTUH. I would request Vijay Lakshmi to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Pragati Green Meadows and Resorts Limited. I would request Pragati Green Meadows and Resorts Limited team to be kindly ready, please. I would request Kanha Shantivanam team to be ready, please. Request Kanha Shantivanam team to kindly come and receive the award, please. I would request Science Limited team to kindly be ready, please. Science team to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Delhi Public School, Nacharam. The next team to receive the award is Delhi Public School, Nacharam. I would request the principal and the team to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Alpla India Private Limited, please. I would request Alpla India Private Limited team to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is IIT Hyderabad team. I would request IIT Hyderabad team to kindly come and receive the award, please. IIT Hyderabad team. The next team to be ready is Delhi Public School, Nadargul. I invite Delhi Public School, Nadargul principal and the team to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Kendriya Vidyalaya, Boinpalli, Secunderabad. I would request the principal and the team of Kendriya Vidyalaya, Boinpalli, Secunderabad to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Geetam University. I invite the team of Geetam University to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Parsi Zoroastrian Anjuman of Secunderabad and Hyderabad, please. I invite the team of Parsi Zoroastrian Anjuman of Secunderabad and Hyderabad to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is DDMS AMS Obul Reddy Public School, Jubilee Hills, please. I invite the principal and the team of DDMS AMSP Obul Reddy Public School to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Delhi Public School, Mahindra Hills. I invite the team of Delhi Public School, Mahindra Hills to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Pallavi Engineering College, Nagol. I invite the team of Pallavi Engineering College, Nagol to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Pallavi International School, Gandipet. I invite the team of Pallavi International School, Gandipet to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Pallavi International School, Kisara. I invite the team of Pallavi International School, Kisara to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Pallavi International School, Alwal. I invite the team of Pallavi International School, Alwal to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is HSBC Electronic Data Processing Private Limited. I invite the team of HSBC Electronic Data Processing India Private Limited to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Hyderabad Cyclist Group. I invite the team of Hyderabad Cyclist Group to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is Vedri Township Welfare Association, please. I invite the team of Vedri Township Welfare Association to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next team to be ready is DAV Public School, Safilguda. invite the principal and other team members of DAV Public School, Safilguda, to kindly come and receive the award, please. I invite the CEO, principal and team of Jain Heritage at Cambridge School, Kondapur, to kindly come and receive the award, please. I invite the team of Jain Heritage at Cambridge School, Kondapur, to kindly come and receive the award, please. With this, we conclude our Harita Haram Awards. Also, we have Inspiring People Practices Awards. CII Telangana launched the Inspiring People Practices Awards in 2020 to honor organizations in Telangana which have excelled in people practices and are a source of inspiration. The winners for the Inspiring People's Practices Award this year are Tata Consultancy Services for their impressive practices on talent acquisition and onboarding. I invite the team of Tata Consultancy Services to kindly come and receive the award, please. The next award of Inspiring People Practices Award goes to Coromandel International Limited for the exceptional work done in the area of well-being and CSR. I invite the team of Coromandel International Limited to kindly come and receive the award, please. I request all the audience to be kindly seated and the dignitaries also. We conclude this award program and then I hand over this to our chairman, Samir Goel. Thank you.
Yeah, can we please settle down quickly? So thank you everyone. Thanks, congratulations to all the awardees. Please continue to do the good work. Now it's my honor and privilege to invite beloved and honorable minister Shri K.T.R. Rama Garu to deliver the address. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir ji. Thank you to the entire team of the Confederation of Indian Industry. Now I've actually understood the success of attendance in a CII meeting. Need I say more? I don't know. మీరు అవార్డ్స్ బాగా ఇచ్చేసి అందరినీ పిలిచేసి you're making sure that the entire room is packed. So Samir, lovely strategy. I'll follow this in future. Congratulations on completing your term, and Vagish, congratulations on assuming the mantle of chairmanship of CII Telangana. Good luck to you. Jayesh Ranjan Garu, Dr. Krishna Ella. ఇప్పుడు మీకు ముందు ఖచ్చితంగా పిలిచేటప్పుడు పద్మశ్రీ పద్మభూషణ చెప్పకుండా నడుస్తుందా డాక్టర్ కృష్ణ I wouldn't say that. I'll say our dear friend who's made all of us proud. I think he deserves a big round of applause. Krishna, I don't think there's a single person in this room who's not thought of you in the last couple of years at some point of time. Krishna phone cheste vaccine ఏమైనా తొందరగా దొరుకుతుందా, పిల్లలకి ఏమైనా వ్యాక్సిన్ ఇచ్చేయచ్చా, లేదా ఏదో రకంగా కృష్ణతో మాట్లాడి మా స్టేట్కి కొన్ని ఎక్కువ వ్యాక్సిన్లు తీసుకోవచ్చా. ఐ థింక్ ఎవ్రీబడి హెస్ గాన్ త్రూ దట్. సో యూ, సుచిత్ర, ఐఎమ్ షూర్ యువర్ ఎంటైర్ టీమ్, Sai and everybody must have been bombarded with calls, but thank you for supporting all of us. Thank you for helping us tide through this pandemic. Deepak ji, thank you for staying on. मुझे लगा कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया नॉर्मली बोलता है निकल जाता है, बट आप यहाँ पे हैं. आप तो हमारे दोस्त हो, इसलिए बहुत सारे अच्छे शब्द आपने कहा, बहुत तारीफ आपने की. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ और उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आपका सपोर्ट ऐसे ही रहेगा और आगे जाकर भी आपका सहयोग ऐसे ही मिलता रहेगा. Mr. Ranganathan, and thank you, sir, for also staying on, the Southern Region's chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, today, in fact, as I've just mentioned, is the opportune time of the new team of CII in Telangana taking over from the past team. The baton is being, passed on to Vagish today. But incidentally also, today marks the second anniversary of the first COVID case in Telangana. Exactly on the 2nd of March in 2020, we had the first case in Telangana. So एकदम सही टाइम चुना आपने. समीर को बाहर भेज के आप नया चार्ज ले रहे हो. जब थोड़ा माहौल बेहतर है, वागिश इज अ स्मार्ट मैन, वी ऑल नो. इसलिए जो बुरा वक्त था, थोड़ा मुश्किल वक्त था, तो समीर को दे दिया. Because Samir is related to Piyush Goyal, as you know. Samir Goyal is related to Piyush Goyal. इसीलिए एक साल पूरा उनको दे दिया. अभी थोड़ा बेहतर हो गया तो वागीश आ गया आगे. And one thing I would like to say before I was just debating, because I have this written speech, but then I saw Krishna speaking. He said, I speak from the heart, and I'm not going to stick to my written speech, etc. So I am also inspired. Krishna, I'm taking a leaf out of your book. I'm also going to be talking, possibly without looking at the paper. The theme of today's event is India at 75 and catalyzing change for new India. Because India, after independence, will be 75, I think in August this year. 47 is the independence, so 2022, 75 years. So I think one of the things I would like to start off by mentioning is about, क्योंकि हम लोग अभी स्टार्टअप्स के बारे में बहुत सुनते हैं. स्टार्टअप्स के बगैर आजकल तो एक न्यूज़पेपर में एक दिन भी कोई ना कोई आर्टिकल तो छापता ही है हर दिन. एवरी डे देयर इज अ न्यूज़ अबाउट सम स्टार्टअप बिकमिंग अ सुनिकॉर्न और यूनिकॉर्न और डेकाकॉर्न और व्हाटएवर other corns there are, sweet corns, I don't know. There are a bunch of things that keep popping up every so often. So let me talk about the most successful startup in 75 years of independent India. That is the state of Telangana. And the reason why I say this is not because I represent the government of Telangana, but because the numbers actually speak for themselves. 7 years ago, my friend Sarita, who's sitting here, 7.5 years ago, who's the captain of the industry, had hosted a dinner. We had met at a dinner where almost 100 or 150 businessmen and women were present. So she, as a son of the soil, as a daughter of the soil, asked me a pointed question. This was not when the TRS had won the mandate. This was much before. No. You were right in asking. About 8 years ago, I think it was. This was at a friend's place. We'd all met for dinner, about 100, 150 of us. People were concerned, people who were worried, people who were anxious as to what would happen when the bill would get passed in the parliament and the new state of Telangana would come into being. Sarita being Sarita, for those of you who know, she doesn't hesitate to speak her mind. So she asked me point blank onto my face. She said, तुम लोग लड़ तो रहे हो तेलंगाना के लिए, but what is it that you guys are trying to accomplish by dividing Telugus? तुम लोग क्या करना क्या चाह रहे हो? This is what she said. So I told her, listen, this is actually for the benefit of the people of both Telugu-speaking states eventually. This would help all of us. This would expedite development. This would bring more prosperity. This would spread, in fact, infrastructure growth in all pockets as opposed to, concentrated development in certain pockets, etc., etc. Of course, she was not convinced. But today I'm going to possibly talk about, now you're convinced. Thank you, Sarita. So today I'm going to tell you why you should possibly be convinced. In exactly 7.5 years in Telangana, when we started our journey, I'll just give you 3 numbers. The first thing is our per capita income. When we started our journey in 2014 in June, 2nd of June 2014, the per capita income of the state of Telangana was 1,24,000 rupees. And today, 7.5 years later, and this is not me, these numbers are not mine. These numbers are of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India. According to them, the per capita income of Telangana today is 2,78,000 rupees. A growth of 125% from 1,24,000 to 2,78,000 rupees. And the other number I'll share with you, the GSDP, the size of the GSDP, the gross state domestic product, back in 2014 June, was 5 lakh crores, Telangana, 4.9 lakh crores to be precise. And today, again, according to Government of India statistics, the current GSDP size of the state of Telangana is 11.54 lakh crores, 130% growth. This goes to show you how the state has been able to do exceedingly well in terms of all indicators. The other interesting statistic I would like to put forward, and I have to correct Mr. Bagla here. Mr. Bagla said, Deepak ji, आपने कहा कि हम लोग छठे हैं rank में contribution towards Indian economy. Sir, RBI would like to differ, not me. The Reserve Bank of India has released a report, a book of statistics in October 2021, and they have clearly stated that Telangana is the 4th largest contributor to Indian economy. We are 11th largest in terms of geographical size. We are 12th largest in terms of population, but we are the 4th largest in terms of contribution. Ahead of us are 3 very large states: West Bengal, Karnataka, and I think Maharashtra. So I would like to correct you there, sir. And this is not me again, Reserve Bank of India. In fact, just to put things in perspective, our population in India as a state is 2.5%. But our contribution to GDP of India is 5%. So that is literally Telangana punching above its weight. Double the size. I call Telangana the most successful startup of independent India. Our Honorable Chief Minister, in fact, is a firm believer, Shri KCR Garu is a firm believer in getting the basics right, in getting the fundamentals right. While, it's easy to talk about emerging technologies, it's fanciful to talk about all the cool things that are happening all over the world, the hyperloops and other things of the world. It's easy, it's all nice talk, but I think a country like India, innovation. Innovation in today's world is often misconstrued as being, disruption in the technology area, startups, etc., etc. But innovation can happen on many, many fronts. You know, I was amused to hear Krishna when he said big companies cannot innovate. I beg to differ, Krishna. In fact, even big companies, in fact, can innovate, should innovate if they have to, they want to sustain, if they want to remain around. Because otherwise, you lose your edge, you basically lose your mojo, and you're gone in no time. Because if you think about it, 20 years back, Yahoo was a big name. Today, not, and I think each of us in this room, or most of us in this room, the younger lot may not remember that, but most of us in this room had a Yahoo account. I did too. Now I don't even remember my password because I don't use it anymore. It's lost its relevance, and now we have so many other things that have come up and so many other things that have just, eclipsed Yahoo and other behemoths of the early 2000s. That's the point I'm trying to make. Unless you reinvent yourself, unless you rediscover yourself, unless you reorient yourself to the changing times, changing demands, changing markets, any big company would not survive. The fact that GSK, the fact that all the big companies of the world still continue to be relevant in spite of the onslaught from Krishna Ella and his team means that they are doing something right. If not everything, they must be doing something right. The point I'm trying to make is invention, innovation is not confined to startups or technology alone. Even government should innovate. And that's exactly what we've done with our policy making. Mr. Bagla just spoke about how Telangana's industrial policies leagues ahead of anybody else. That is because our Honorable Chief Minister in this very room sat for 7 hours with the industry bodies, tried to understand in the very initial days of government. He said, let me sit with you, understand the pain points. Let me understand how I can make a difference. And in 2014, July, I think it was, there was a meeting held in this room. And by 2014, November, Telangana came out with its first legislation. That is the Telangana State Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System, the TS iPass. Now it's like the Easy Pass, that you would run into in the US. TS iPass has been extremely successful. And in case you are wondering, how do you say something successful? We have given out more than 18,000 clearances. We've been able to attract more than 2.3 lakh crores of investment. And we've been able to create a direct job potential of 1.6 million jobs. This is something that is truly amazing for a new state in India. And this growth, the numbers that I just reeled out, is all despite several things. It's despite the bifurcation blues, because the new state has to settle in. There are still issues to be tackled with the other state, with our brother state, or sister state as you would like to call it. We have still some issues to settle. The bifurcation blues are still, in some areas at least, they're still there. This is despite the fact that there was demonetization, which affected all of us, which affected the growth of states, districts, countries, the entire country as such, industries also. And this despite the pandemic. 2 years of pandemic and still Telangana, in fact, as was pointed out by Mr. Bagla, even if you look at an average, it's more than 13%. And if the same growth trajectory continues, then we would certainly be at that magical $470 billion or $500 billion, I think he was referring to. We'd be there by 2030, which is a humongous contribution to India's economy, if you ask me. Innovation was not confined to industrial clearances alone. Innovation was also brought in other spheres of life, such as municipal administration. How we give clearances to the industries in 15 days, and if we do not deliver in the 15-day window, how it is a deemed approval on the 16th day, was also replicated by municipal department. We asked the municipal department also to study how building permissions are given. So today in Telangana, I proudly say as Minister for Urban Development, we are the only state which can promise clearances in 21 days for any layout or building approval. If we don't deliver on the 21-day window, on the 22nd day, without you having to meet any official, it's a deemed approval. In fact, for plots of less than 500 square meters, the approval is instant. It's self-certification. No state in India will tell you this. So this is the sort of innovation Telangana has made. Innovation in Panchayati Raj and rural development. The new act that we brought in for village development is something truly unique. I don't think there is any state in the country which said 10% of the budget from the village Panchayati or the municipal body has to be earmarked for greenery. 10% of your budget is green budget. And the new act also espouses, also makes it very, very clear that the village sarpanch or the municipal councillor or the municipal chairperson or the panchayati secretary can lose their job and will lose their job if they do not ensure 85% survival of the plants that have been planted in their respective domains. I don't think any government in India has done this. Now that is the innovation I'm talking about. Innovation does not have to confine itself to cool technologies. Innovation is about impacting the society in a positive way. And that's what I'm saying. Governments can innovate, others also can innovate. And when I say the 3I mantra, innovation, infrastructure is the second I. On the infrastructure front, why Telangana has grown is because we have spent lots of money. We spent extensive money on ramping up our infrastructure. We were a power deficit state when we started our journey. We had an installed capacity of 7,000 megawatts. Today our installed capacity of power is more than 16,000 megawatts and more than doubled in the last 7.5 years. We spent lots of money on that. That is why Telangana is able to provide quality power supply to industry, to households, and also to agriculture. We are the only state in the country, in fact, that provides 24/7 free power to small and marginal farmers. Again, you would not hear this from any other state in India. Infrastructure not only in power, drinking water. We are the only state in the country which had completed, a project which had, laying of 140,000 kilometers of pipeline. A project called as Mission Bhagirath, which is aimed at providing a portable drinking water connection to each and every one of the 10 million homes, 1 crore households in Telangana. A unique project where we spent nearly $7 billion has been completed, and today Government of India has drawn inspiration from us and has started what is called as Har Ghar Jal, a new program which they are asking other states also to emulate. Infrastructure is not again only on power and drinking water, but also in irrigation. I don't know how many of you in this room know this. The world's largest lift irrigation project, the world's largest, not India's largest, the world's largest lift irrigation project has been conceptualized and has been completed by the government of Telangana in less than 4 years of time. Now, we often talk about Chinese execution. We often talk about how things move fast in China. But the new state of Telangana, the youngest state in India, has shown to the rest of the country how well things can happen, things can move, provided the political will and collective efforts of the bureaucracy and engineering department are showcased. You would be surprised. We are lifting water, Godavari, from about 82 meters above sea level to 612 meters above sea level to near Hyderabad through a multi-stage lift irrigation program. And we are engaging some of the biggest pumps in the world, pump sets in the world, 137 megawatts of pumps each, with about, I think, 6 or 7 running in tandem to lift water from such a long distance. This is again a very, very unique kind of a model that Telangana has been able to champion. For those of you who are wondering, what about the third I? Innovation is good, infrastructure is fine. What about inclusive growth? Telangana has shown this country that inclusive growth can be showcased. While we focused on industrial growth, we did not let down our agriculture potential. Today, I'm proud to share with you, agriculture's contribution to the GSDP back in 2013 was 16%. Today, in 2021, our agriculture contribution to the state's GSDP has increased by 5% to 21%, which is humongous. 5% increase is not easy. And I can assure you of one thing, Dr. Krishna Illa said, if there is a next pandemic, it is likely to be on the animal side affecting our food security. I can confidently say this. No matter what happens in the rest of India, Telangana will not only be secure with its agriculture produce, we will be able to support other states in the country if that happens. I hope it does not happen, but we will certainly be there to the rescue of the rest of the country as well. The reason why I say this is because our agriculture produce has increased so much that even Food Corporation of India, उन्होंने भी हाथ उठा दिया, बोला कि हम प्रोक्योर नहीं कर सकते हैं आपके साथ, इतना ज़्यादा आ रहा है, इतना ज़्यादा पैडी आ रहा है प्रोड्यूस आपसे, तो हम नहीं खरीद सकते हैं आपसे. That is the level of increase in agriculture produce that Telangana has been able to showcase. You know, at one point of time, Punjab was called the granary of India. But today, proud to share with you, Telangana is that granary. We have replaced Punjab and we are the granary to the rest of India. The point I'm trying to make, gentlemen and ladies, is that while Telangana continued to grow industrially at 13% or more, our agriculture produced also, because we focused on agri, but we did not let down our farmers. We came out with innovative schemes.